Hello, everyone, and welcome to the program Business Points on Global Television. I am Samuel Odi, coming to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja. So, on today's edition, we'll be looking at the 2025 budget, obviously, and mixed reactions that we've gotten from states, Nigerians, and the of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and the projection of looking at the oil sector, saying we should be doing around 2.6 million barrels per day, and then looking at inflation, well, has been said to increase by 15%. Our current inflation rate is at 34+%, which is another concerning situation. Nigerians have looked, and analysts have analyzed and said it's possible at this current stage in time for Nigeria to be able to do 2.6 million barrels per day of petrol. So looking at those angles, that's under one concern. Another major concern is around the FX changing rate, which says the projection will still remain at 1,500 naira. Big concern, looking at the fact that from the current stage it has been projected for that since last year, and then it's been going between 1,700 to 1,500. Now Nigerians are expecting to see that in the coming year the projection is going to reduce, and then the FX changing rate is going to decline, and then with that being said, Nigerians are surprised that it's at 1,500. So concerning aspect. Now we're going to talk about agriculture, other angles of the budget that was submitted. So we'll look at all of these angles. We'll be extracting them. We have a financial analyst who will help us understand it. But there's another question that has been asked by Nigerians, looking at the current Nigerian economy, and then the budgeting team. What they are projecting is different from what the economy is saying firsthand. So looking at all of these issues now, or all of these angles, there have been lots of eyebrows being raised up, and we'll tend to see how we'll bring those eyebrows down after this break. So you just stay with us. We'll be right back. Many thanks for staying with us. So we're about to get into the conversation, analyzing all the key components of the budget of restoration. Now we're no longer talking renewed hope, we're talking budget of restoration. So looking at this now, 49.7 trillion projected for next year, though the Senate, you all know, and the House of Reps still have a little bit of markup that they'll need to do. This might, the budget might maybe get to 50 to 50.1 trillion, probably even 50.2 trillion by the time everything is being done and when the Senate, get to look at it. So looking at all of those angles now, it's time for us to break down the key components of this budget of restoration, as I said by Mr. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. It's time for me to introduce my guests who would help us understand most of these major concerns, and then see how we are going to actually, gain this focus and then this projection, if possible, looking at the current reality that we're facing now as a country, can we reach these projections that has been projected by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu in the 2025 budget? Now, I want to introduce my guest in the person of Mr. John Ochai, who is a financial analyst. Good morning, Mr. John. Many thanks for joining.
Good morning. Thank you for having me here.
Yes, so let's get right into it. Budget of restoration, as I said by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, 49.7 trillion projected for the year 2025. Now, my question to you is, what is your overall understanding of the budget, the 2025 budget?
Good morning, our viewer out there, and good morning to you, Mr. Samuel. First and foremost, I want to thank the National Assembly for passing these budgets now, because over the years there is a late passing the budget, and now that the budget has been presented to the National Assembly for due diligence to be done, and most especially the 49.3 trillion that was proposed for the National Assembly to look at and see how they were able to allocate and apportion it into the system. But my major concern in all this is this: the 2024 budget, we have not even executed 25% of the budget. And when you look at this present budget, I have been budgeted as a proposed budget, 49.7 trillion. When you look at the way and manner and the angle where they want to channel this budget to, you realize that it's still the same status quo that we are maintaining. Defense and security, 4.9 billion naira. Infrastructure, when you look at the infrastructure, is 4.06 trillion naira. Then when you look at health sector, 2.48 trillion, and when you look at education, it's 3.53 trillion naira. The rest are recurrent. When you look at all those things, you realize that year in, year out, we propose budget and then they fail to tell us where they will be able to generate the fund or mop up fund from to, finance those budgets that they always propose to us. So I will be of the opinion that it's not about presenting a budget that is not visible. Let's present a budget that is more tangible, that is more visible. Because if you look at what the Mr. President said, that the inflation will still going to come down to 34.6% next year. And when you look at the dollar difference, if they are proposing that the budget will compare the dollar down to 1,500, which we are expecting that we should do more, and then the oil production can be 2.06 barrels per day, which they propose that is going to use to mop up the entire, to finance the fund, which year in, year out, we know that what they say is not visible to fund this budget. So I will of the opinion that they should look at other methods, not only approach, in which they will be able to fund this budget that they have proposed to the National Assembly. And I pray from all nook and cranny, the government will do the needful to ensure the right thing will be done in 2025.
Okay, let's look at this, the projection for the oil sector, which They says, like you rightly mentioned, 2.06 million barrels per day. Now, Shell is looking to make a $5 million investment into deep water into deep water for the oil sector. And then looking at this projection now, do you, and what we have on the ground basically, do you think that Nigeria has what it takes to be able to produce 2.06 million barrels per day, looking at what we're currently doing? Because currently we're doing around 1.3 to 1.53 million barrels per day currently as we speak. So do you think this projection is actually realistic? Do you think it's achievable from this sector?
It's never realistic, and I don't think they will be able to achieve that. But the government have a responsibility to ensure that it put pressure on the NNPC for them to achieve that. Year in, year out, we have been battling with the crude oil theft. We have been battling with pirates. We have been battling with oil bunkering. So those things are not visible because there are no methodology approach. They have not they tell Nigerians whatever they want to do to ensure that they do the right thing. So it's not going to be realistic because we have never exceeded that before. But the government is saying they are going to work to ensure that they exceed that too. These are all forecasts. Forecast is not a reality. You can forecast the future. There is a tendency of achieving that, and there are tendencies in which you cannot also achieve that. Because NNPC have not been sincere to us. Because they will be saying one thing and they will be doing different things. But I hope and I pray that they should achieve it based on the way they have proposed it. Because when we look at the productions of the crude oil, there are so many political gains around it. And that political gains, I don't think that we, based on the practice and culture incubated into the system of processing, I don't think that they will have enough to consolidate on this budget that they have presented to the National Assembly. I have the opinion that they should not focus their attention to the oil sector alone. We have other sectors such as tourism, we have education, we have industry, that they need to focus attention to see how they will be able to derive and drive international foreign investment. With that, that is how they will be able to generate revenue to fund this existing budget that they have proposed to the National Assembly. So for my mind, to me, I don't think it's going to be visible.
Okay, let's look at this for FX changing rates. You know, when the Naira got floated, it rose immediately, the Naira dipped to 1,200, 1,300 earlier than last year when it was floated. So now, looking at that angle now, we coming into this year, it has been between 1,550 Naira to around 1,750 Naira. Now, the projection for next year says dollar is expected to be around 1,500 Naira to $1. How is there a way that can be navigated for us to be able to, see a better exchange rate, looking at the fact that Nigerian economy run a dollarized economy? The woman selling in the market, if you ask her why pepper and tomatoes are expensive, she will call dollar. Now they don't just blame it on fuel alone, they also blame it on dollar. So what can be done in this light to be able to, cushion the overhauling around the exchange rate?
If we continue to practice the same thing every year in, year out, we'll continue to get the same result. A child cannot repeat a class every year and you are expecting that child to be in that institution. It's an error. And if a child continues to practice the same culture and without testing the different ways of other cultures, then he will find himself in a mirage. What is happening in our society as it is today, you cannot practice the same, use the same approach in maintaining the same practice and you are expecting a different result. It's never possible. It's never possible. What government would have done as soon as they came into power, one, they wouldn't have float the float naira in the first place, because year in year out we are doing the bidding of the World Bank and the IMF, and if their decision is to perpetually keep us into poverty so that a naira will not be relevant in the global market, and that is exactly what they always impose on us. And for us to change the narrative and the perception, there is a need for us to look beyond floating naira. And what was the thing that we needed to do? First, we need to start making naira be the currency that will trade within the country, and then any bilateral relationship that we are going to have, they should also accept naira, because we cannot be using dollar or every other hard currency in the global market and then it will plunge our naira to depreciation. That is exactly what we have been experiencing over time. I think there is a high time that we need to change our approach by not using the dollar or other hard currency in what we need, in what we used to do as it is before. So it is a high time that we need to buy in naira and sell in naira. Any other country coming to the country to purchase whatever things that they want to purchase or to finance any project or buy anything, that hard currency need to be converted to naira before we decide the fate of whatever we are going to do at that moment. If that is not achieved, we'll continue to practice the same thing over and over without achieving the aims of bringing the values of naira up.
Well, let's look at the agricultural sector. Before now, and then the bill and the projection for the security, the allocation rather for security, defense, it says it's going to be around 4.9 trillion. Looking at that, agricultural sector, before now, we do around 40 million hectares annually, but now we've been struggling due to some high level of insecurity, and a whole lot of finances have gone into that sector. Now, currently, we do around 33 to 34 million hectares yearly, which has been a major challenge. Then, linking it with inflation, the current force driving inflation is a high price of commodities, mainly food items in the market. With this current figure going into the defense allocation, how well do you think we could be able to navigate around these and then have peace and security more within the urban areas, given the fact that we've seen a whole lot of farmers and individuals being internally displaced due to insurgencies in their respective communities? So with this figure going on, do you think that the issue of insecurity would be coming to an end really, really soon?
What are the causes of insecurity in the first place? The causes of insecurity is, as I said, one, it is a political games. Two, it is poverty. Three, when the welfare of the citizens are not well taken care of. These are the three major factors that trigger insecurity in the nation. And you agree with me, over time, we have been paying a naivety into defense and security. And year in, year out, if you look at the budget of to armed forces is higher than every other budget if you look at your number. But year in, year out, we continue to experience the same thing now, up to the moment. I will suggest or advise the government, we should not be paying the lip service into unimportant issues such as insecurity. Like the number of the security personnel that we have in our nations today can never be equated to deal with the insecurity issues that we have. I think the government will look beyond just a physical approach, so that they will be able to work on most of the other aid that will assist in cushioning the effects of the security. When you look at the farmers today, farmers are unable to go to farm just because of the herders and the farmer crisis that reduces the levels of production or input into the farm product. And once that is not taken care of, year in, year out, Nigeria wouldn't be able to feed themselves, more or less, of thinking of exporting our product to the international community. Until those things are looked at holistically, that is how we'll be able to maintain and achieve what we have at the moment. But when you talk about inflation, inflation is the little that we have at our hands, that the little goods are taking. You mean we have a high budget and have a lower product in our hands, until we begin to look at the factors that are affecting those things. Which one is insecurity? One, high rates of tax imposed on the citizen, and the market pressure on the little fund that we have that is going to the market. What we need to do is that we need to look beyond that, and government should come with a policy that will be able to be a people's policy, not a political policy that are imposing on us as it is today. If Nigeria really want to change the status quo and the narrative, they need to adopt a different method from this present method they have been using.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. John Ochai, for all of your input and for joining us on today's edition of Business Point. This is how much time will permit us to take.
Thank you very much.
Looking at the budget restoration, as President Bola Ahmed Tinubu called it, a lot of projection, Nigerians have really reacted negatively to it. Even state governors, given they've been reacting from the tax bill, now still reacting to the budget. So there's just been a lot of rifts going on within this budget and then this projection. People, the common man, those in the market are also complaining about the current hike of items in the market. So it's been challenging, and like the president will always say, he says the pain that Nigerians are going through is like the pain of a woman in labor. So we are hoping that this labor doesn't keep extending year by year. Nigerians are hoping that the labor is just going to come to an end this year, and then next year is going to get better. But looking at the projection, Nigerians and public affairs analysts have reacted differently to it. Even state governors saying that this budget is literally not realistic, looking at the current economic situation Nigerians are facing. My name is Samuel Odi. Tomorrow we'll talk more business. You have a great day. Bye for now.